What is going on, everybody? I'm Jack with Golden Dice Podcast, and here I have Xander, who is the community manager for Fantasy Flight Games, King of the Streams, as the word on the street has been dubbed your nickname.
I'll take it. That seems like a pretty great nickname.
Yeah, a quick intro. I mean, if you're involved in watching Star Wars Unlimited, they've probably seen you on the streams and whatnot before, but quick little elevator pitch of kind of who you are and what you get to do at Fantasy Flight.
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Xander, I'm a community manager, so what that means is a lot of my work is revolved around making sure the community has a voice in some of the decision making on our side, but then also being the voice for FFG and coming out to you all and getting to chat about like what you're liking, what you're not liking, being one of the people that helps communicate all the new things that are happening, the new cards, the new mechanics, and basically just being a big part of the community, but on the inside of FFG. So it's super fun. My position, I get to work really closely with the designers on a lot of things, and the rest of the team behind the game. It's really cool. And
I did have to update your title in this from our last interview, so things are going well. Xander's doing a great job, even from our perspective of being one of the content creators. But so, Set 3 has been out a month. I know you've been away a little bit, but how are you feeling kind of about the release, kind of the feedback that you've seen, and then what even decks do you have built from Set 3 so far?
Yeah, Set 3, it's been such a great release. It's really cool seeing, an abundance of product at stores so people can play draft and sealed and get to engage with the game, and maybe a way they didn't get to when Sets 1 and 2 released just due to some of the shortages. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see that people are really enjoying the limited format a lot on that side of things. Set 3, it's been a very wonderful release seeing people get to finally play with some of those new keywords that they felt iffy about or were really excited about, and see how they actually play once you get them on the tabletop and get to play against each other. So I'm really enjoying seeing the feedback for Set 3, and I really could not have gone better. On my side of things, still figuring out what I want to do with Set 3. A lot of my decks I've just kind of updated as we've gone along for each set as we go. But Count Dooku is one of the guys that I'm really excited to start messing around with on this for this set. It's one of my decks I brought this week. I'm also really excited about Mace Windu and Yoda, and so we'll see what ends up being my deck going into like planetary qualifier season and things like that. But those are the three I'm really excited about.
Dooku is, I don't know if you remember, but at the January event, I told you and Jim that I was going to win with Set 3, number 5, or whatever he ended up being. And so that's who I have to win Worlds with. So I'm really hoping maybe we can brainpower and crack Dooku.
Are you feeling confident, like now that you've gotten to play with him? Or you're like, I could take Worlds or Galactics with that?
He's just like weird, where sometimes the exploit I feel like is a little too slow, and I get run over by like Sabine or Ahsoka or something like that. Yeah. And then the flip side, I feel like I lose to Avenger. But I feel like anything like kind of mid range I can kind of get.
Oh yeah.
But I'm still trying to like figure out the exact percentages of some. But playing like stuff like Set 1 Dooku for 5 feels really great. Or Malevolence for like 2.
A 5/4, vanquish a guy basically, take down a guy, and then also shielded.
Yes.
Great card.
Yeah. So there's definitely some power plays within there, but I'm still trying to figure that out.
Fair.
I mean, Set 3, actually, it's been funny for me that this is the set that I've done limited the least, because we ran a draft event, but then we had an odd number, so I was like, I don't want anybody to have a bye. I'll step out. Yeah. And then pre-release, I got called into work. So actually, this weekend at PAX Unplugged, I'm like, Brian, the one thing I want to do while we're here is do a draft. So after probably this interview, we'll probably hop in line for one of the draft mods.
Yeah, best of luck. I think the limited format for Set 3 specifically, there's so many great leaders to choose from that you really can't go wrong. A lot of options at the table. It's unfortunately the one I've done I performed the worst on stream for limited formats.
True.
So far, just got duped by a couple different guys on my left and right. So hopefully I'll be able to redeem myself in another stream with limited sometime soon.
Nothing beats the first draft stream where I think you ended up with 2 Thrawns and a Boba.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I guess I am yellow villain for this draft in some form.
Luckily I was very competent with playing villainy in Set 1, but that was a tough one.
Now, how did you feel? Obviously, you're very kind of in touch with the community, as you said, and so you play a big role in kind of helping the excitement and the hype of the game and the spoilers. How do you feel like Set 3 went now that you have 2 other Set 1 and Set 2 to compare it to? How do you feel Set 3 went?
I feel pretty good about Set 3. I think we got a lot of great lessons out of Set 3. It felt like a very different set compared to the previous ones with token generation and things like that. And so I think the leaders specifically, I think we did a really good job of, as we've always want to, is the longer the season goes on, it starts to become predictable for a lot of different games as you go through previous seasons. But I think our final 2 weeks had a lot of things that made you go back and go, oh, now I see how this works. I'll go back and check it out.
Yeah.
I need to really relook at the entire set to understand what's going on here based on these leaders. Now let's say Chancellor Palpatine specifically being the ones that are like, oh, okay.
And every time there's a
things
clone
are different
or something, you gotta look at
things are very different. I think there's some different lessons we learned along the way about how we want to approach, bringing in the new mechanics and letting you all figure that out, what that looks like. And so I think we got some really great lessons out of that. Me and Tyler are going to take and work with MJ to really make sure that set 4 is what we want it to be on the hype level. But I think the excitement was there, and that's what we really wanted to see, especially building that wave of excitement up until the release.
Cool. Yeah, it was funny with set 3 going through. It was like, all right, this card is Coordinate. Seems good, but I have no idea how Coordinate's going to play out. So we're going to have to wait till we get some of these cards and actually play with them and stuff. So it was definitely fun to kind of see that set 3 pre-release meta evaluation of cards evolve as you went through that.
Oh yeah. We want to keep you guessing, but we also want you to have a correct idea of how things work specifically. And so that's definitely something we're really paying attention to when it comes to piloting and indirect damage specifically.
Speaking of piloting and indirect damage, this past Wednesday, FFG posted an article, and you guys did a live stream talking about set 4, and it was funny. A while ago, you posted the PAX Unplugged article, and you're like, and something's going to be coming at PAX Unplugged. And I was like, hey, I'm making the questions. It was like Tuesday. I was like, what is it? Is there any way I can know early to just help create questions or whatever? And you're like, you'll find out tomorrow. Don't you worry. So we've gotten to see that set 4. You guys did the intro to Jump to Lightspeed, and so. How did that kind of feel to be able to get that out into the open?
It feels unreal to be talking about, year 2 sets already. We've been so, absorbed with our foundation year and what that means for us and getting everything going. And now we're like, oh, we're going into this new stage of what the game's life's going to look like, what the new sets are going to be, and some of the new products that are going to come alongside it. And so it feels really good to be out here talking about it. And the excitement around piloting and all these things that are going along with Jump to Lightspeed has been unreal. It's one of the things that we heard the most before the set even before set 1 even came out, which when are we getting space leaders? And it's like, okay, great. It was the same idea with smuggling, where it was like, oh, when can I play with my resources? Great, set 2. When do we get space leaders? Okay, we know already, but we just can't say it yet. So I'm really excited for everybody to get to experiment with piloting. I know that there's some concerns, obviously, people have around oh, what does it mean that they're upgrades and things like that? But I think the more that you see it with the set, the more excitement there's going to be around it. And I think it is a set that is true to form of giving you what you want when you think of a space-themed set.
Cool. Yeah, I'm very excited. And same thing, I remember set 1, when you guys were releasing spoilers for that, every time a leader was coming out, once we learned the cadence, it was every Friday or whatever it might be. We're like, all right, is this one going to be a space leader? Is this one going to? And then we're like, okay, maybe they're saving. They're probably just doing a baseline now and excited to get that into play, to have that to be unique. Because even now in set 3, we're starting to see space play a big role with the Django Tarkentown deck, the Triple Dark Raid. We're already seeing that come, and so next set I feel like it's going to be really fleshed out to have a full space type thing. Yeah,
I'm excited. I think piloting on leaders and on units as well, but really offers an interesting way to play. But I also think there's leaders in the set that aren't pilots that play with the space arena in a unique way that make people really reevaluate what they thought of space units before this.
And so now I have a question. One of the things that you guys talked about and showed off was sets 1, 2, and 3, we had a 2-player kit, right?
Yes.
That was, you buy it, you have 2 decks that are balanced against each other, but now as we go into set 4, they're separate decks. Han Solo will be sold as a showcase deck, and or what is the exact name for it?
Spotlight deck.
Spotlight deck. A Spotlight deck, and then the Boba Fett will be a Spotlight deck as well. So they're 2 separate products. What kind of went into that decision to make you be like, let's separate these. Let's kind of get away from a 2-player kit and do individually.
Yeah, I think it's a difference in what the aim of the product is for us. So the 2-player starters, especially for Foundation year, these are supposed to be entry points for you on each set. If you are a new player and you heard about the game before set 1, great, you're getting in with this. It's an approachable product for you. You get both decks that you can bring home and play with a buddy. A slightly, not a low power level, but a low complexity across those cards. It's easy to pick up, it's easier to understand, you can jump right into the game, and then start adding booster packs and figuring it out. And so now as we're exiting year 1, Foundation year, we're going into year 2, the goal is to have a new entry point that has a little higher complexity for players who maybe tried some things in the year 1 and are looking to get more into the game into year 2. This is an entry point for you to be able to pick up cards, slightly higher complexity, some different, like higher rarity in some of those packs, and be able to really jump in and see what the game can do outside of a beginner style product. We're not, totally going away from bringing in new players and having products like that. That's still something that we're actively, talking about and working on, is what's our new way to get players on board into this game. And you'll still see 2-player starters for the first 3 sets around, I'm sure, at local stores. But these 2 are more aimed at those players who have a little card game experience, can figure it out, and deal with some of that complexity, and also just want a slightly higher power level and be able to show up to their local weekly plays and do fairly well with these decks.
Yeah, because it all made sense to me, but I'm also like probably not the target audience where that cares to split. Like, I'm going to buy a 2-player kit, and then now you split it, I'm going to buy each of them anyway. So I was curious to see, just kind of thought behind that, because I was somebody who was going to buy that regardless, because I like playing the game a lot. But to me, I think it is really cool. I think there's something to be said about somebody getting into the game and also, not being overwhelmed of like, I have to buy 2 decks. Like, you can just go in, buy 1 single deck. I like Han Solo, I'm going to pick the Han Solo deck, and boom, let's play my weekly tournament, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and it's cool that it comes with the booster pack too. So if you are one of those players that's going to be buying these packs or decks, you immediately have the ability to start customizing a little bit based on what you pull from that pack.
And so that isn't the only difference in new product. One of the big things that we're getting is the Carbonite Packs, the Carbonite boxes. And so I'm very excited for that. Maybe not my wallet. Maybe I have to scale back on the regular boxes that I buy so I can get one of them. But how did that kind of come into play after going through 3 sets of not having something like that to being like, all right, set 4, after a game's been out a year, we want to introduce this new style of pack?
And so for the first year, we wanted to keep, the product line very simple, very straightforward. If you are a new player, because everyone is a new player in year 1, right? Or fairly new at least. There's an easy way to understand what is available. You have pre-release available during pre-release weekend, maybe a little after. You have a 2-player starter, that's your entry point, and then you have booster boxes, and that's it. There's nothing confusing. There's no, do I get this thing or that thing for each set? It's pretty straightforward for players. Year 2, we're starting to amp that up a little bit. We want to make sure that there's opportunities for players who are more on the collecting side. We talk about the C3OP. We're getting the competitive series off the ground. Increasing planetary qualifiers going into set 3 and set 4. It's really exciting to have that. Casual players, we've got really fun weekly play packs and store showdowns, and we're doing that. But we didn't have a thing that was aimed directly at collectors, outside of being able to play. And so this is our way to push towards collectors and give you the opportunity, if you are a collector, to find those really cool cards and different rarities and different variants of cards, and be able to just pick them up at the local store without maybe having to play and get a weekly play pack. And so I think there's a lot to love if you're a collector, or if you're someone who's just like, hey, I have this deck that I'm going to keep tweaking and building throughout the years. Now you have a way to find more variants for those cards. Bling it out a little bit, get something cool going. And I think it's really exciting. And I'm really excited for some of the prestige cards, which we'll be talking about in the next couple months. And I'm dying to talk about them.
And that's, for anybody that hasn't seen that, basically it's the same exact contents. There's no unique card. Like if Chewbacca's in the base set, he's going to be in the Carbonite Packs as well. There's only uniqueness in how the treatment is of the card.
No mechanically unique cards in those Carbonite Packs. So if you're someone who's just like, I need all the cards that do a specific thing, you can pick those up in the regular booster packs and you're good to go. If you're someone who's like, I need the hyperspace or foil version of everything, these might be the way to go for you to find some of those cards. Because
every single card within these packs will either be a foil, hyperspace, hyperfoil, showcase, or the new treatment.
They are all the different variants. So you are getting something different than you would find in a normal booster pack, or more regularly, I guess. And so there's showcases as well, which is really cool.
That's when I have bad luck. I think I'm about 2 cases each set, and 1 showcase. So we're struggling.
I haven't found my showcase yet for set 3, so I'm still opening packs looking for mine.
I had to stop myself because that could be a dangerous run.
Fair.
But now, so we've seen set 2 introduce smuggle and bounties and capture. We saw set 3 introduce coordinate and exploit. So now in set 4, we've seen the indirect damage and pilot. To you personally, out of those new introductions, what do you feel like has been the most flavorful or most fun for you to have in the game?
Oh man, if you would have asked me 2 years ago what my favorite one was versus now, completely different answers, even a year ago. I think Smuggle was one that I really enjoyed. I like the flexibility of it starting out, but it wasn't my favorite. I was big on Exploit during playtesting things, and I still enjoy it, and that's why I have Count Dooku here. It was like, Exploit's so fun. But my Han deck having a great amount of success for set 2 meta, it was really great, and I loved Smuggling. So that was definitely there, but I am so jazzed about piloting. I think it has that flexibility that I've been starting to crave now with Smuggling, where you play them in space or on the ground, and so you can kind of move these pilots around to where they best meet the needs of that game. And so if they're going space and you want to race on ground, or vice versa, or oh man, they have a ton of upgrade removal, maybe I just play units and all of a sudden all their upgrade removal has nothing to do with me. I'm not worried about it. And so I think it has that flexibility. And so looking at the set 4 things and getting reacquainted myself as we go through this, piloting is one that I think is probably going to take the cake once the set comes out for me.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and it feels cool because I remember one of the last sets of Destiny was piloting, but that was towards the end of its life cycle. So now it's like, I get a chance to actually like experience that a little more fully than, and granted, different games, different mechanics and stuff like that, but at least that feel of Chewbacca piloting my A-Wing, which seems like a great 2 into 3 resource play.
Oh yeah, I think the flexibility and the resource cost and stuff is people are gonna be very surprised. I mean, I know people are already talking about it, but I think people are going to be even more surprised how quick some of the games can go and how aggressive people can play. When you're throwing upgrades, your turn 2 play is going on to a turn 1 play and just being a massive upgrade. That damage just becomes so much bigger, so much faster. Yeah,
no, I know some of the feedback, like instantly, it was like, well, wait, they get defeated by Confiscate, like a 1-cost neutral. But I was like, also even just starting to look at like Millennium Falcon, the new Millennium Falcon, with Chewbacca, and then Han Solo deployed on it to then ready 3 resources as well. I was like, okay, I can kind of see why maybe we should have something like Confiscate in the game, because that could get out of hand pretty fast.
It would be you throw both of them on the Falcon, it's an 11-11 unit, and it's like, all right, that's pretty solid. I can't complain about 11-11.
Yeah, and then you ready 3 more for whatever else you want to do with Han deploying and stuff like that.
And that rivals, I believe, the biggest unit in the game with them on there, right? Would be the set 2 capital ship.
Yeah, the one that captures.
Yeah, the one that captures. So that's the biggest unit. So you can do that with Han and Chewie and the Falcon.
Han, Chewie, and the Falcon equal a Star Destroyer.
That's the potential damage you can get out there.
That's funny. And then for last bit of set 4, what is the leader color combo that you're most, obviously can't say the leader unless it's one of the 3 that's been spoiled, but what are you most excited for? What leader to play?
I really love Han's ability to play odd cards. I think it's such a fun.
Do we need an intervention with you in Han Solo decks?
That really is the truth. I always am like, I don't need to play Han, and the set comes out, I'm like, oh no, I'm building Han Solo. Great. I would say the Vigilance Villainy leader is one of the ones that I'm the most excited for. I think once you all see who it is, it'll make sense. I think everybody will be like, yeah, that makes sense for Xander to have liked that. And as a villainy player, most of the time, except for Han, and specifically a Vigilance player now, I'm like, it is right up my alley. It does exactly what I want it to do. And I'm just so excited to show that card off. And so you won't hear me stop talking about him once it's revealed.
Rare or common? Can we know that?
Oh gosh, I think they're the rare leader?
Rare leader.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
I couldn't remember it off the top of my head, but I believe rare.
Cool. So, I mean, that's kind of what we had for set 4. There's still, you guys are just getting the information out, so there's, still a lot to be coming and excitement to talk about that. But I wanted to ask a few questions because we're still in set 3. We still have PQs. There's still so much to talk about for set 3. And one of the things that's been very exciting is Boba being suspended on top of a new set releasing. Like, it's been exciting to see everybody start to talk about a lot of like mid-range or even hero leaders that weren't talked about before because Boba Fett was so good and Danny talked about trying to push something like that and it ended up not working out. And that was a great stream as well, by the way.
Thank you.
But how did that like kind of come about? And I know you touched on it a little bit, and then how do you like examine that afterwards? Like now that he has been suspended, what are some of the things that you in the office are saying like, all right, this was what we wanted, this is what we were hoping for, or are you like, oh wait, another thing just popped up, or we're not happy with the suspension? Kind of how does that get worked out?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we are always actively looking at. I would say that Boba Fett was something we didn't want to make any decisions. Like I know that the design team was, obviously aware of Boba Fett before this, but having the data from planetary qualifiers is a good way to look at things. We don't want to just make something off of the vibes or the feel of what it is. We want some way to back up the idea of, okay, this is a problem, or hey, it's not a problem for the meta. And so it's something that we're definitely going to be aware of going into set 3's planetary qualifiers, of looking at leaders, looking at cards, different things that are showing up very consistently. I know for Boba Fett, there was a lot of chatter around it during the PQs, and once they've wrapped up, that's, things really started kicking off of like, okay, here's where we move into this. And I know that the design team put a lot of thought and effort and testing into what this means to remove Boba from this meta. Does Sabine run rampant and become a problem instead? And a lot of the testing showed that this is the right call for it, and would really open up the meta in a great way. And I think we're seeing that too with the set 3-1. I know, looking at some of the decks that are winning, weekly play and things, and even some of the bigger tournaments, it seems much more varied, and that's exactly what we want, is to have a meta that feels much more open. You have options, you don't feel forced into certain decisions. Obviously, there's going to be decks that are better in certain metas than others, and leaders that do that thing, but I think it's much more open, and I'm really enjoying seeing not only some of the heroes that you're talking about, like the heroism cards, but some of the leaders in the cunning villainy side of things that maybe would have been pushed out by Boba are back on the table.
Like, even now, everybody looks at Django and they're like, we always kind of thought he was good, but it was hard to compare him and be like, I should run him over Boba. But now that's like, everybody's looking at Django, everybody's looking at Cad.
Yep.
Sorry about Thrawn. I don't know if
I'm seeing some Thrawns out there someday.
But it is even cool with this balance change also to coincide with planetary qualifiers being like tripled in a sense. And so it's like going into this new season, there's going to be a lot more data for you guys to look at and like see how some of these decks are going to perform, see how diverse it is, because you're going from, was there 40 in the United States?
I think it's 40 worldwide.
40 worldwide and what, like 25, 30 in the States? 20, somewhere there. So now you're going from that to, now it feels like there's like 50 or 60 in the United States. I think that's about the number. How excited are you guys to be bringing that to the competitive side of it? And are you guys going to be sending staff to some of those events as well to continue to get feedback? I know you did that for the last set, so I wasn't sure if that was in the plans for...
I believe so. I believe that some of our team will be, traveling to some of the events. I know that I'll be personally going to the ones that are within driving distance of me, even if I don't get set for work. I just want to show up and see how people are doing, see how the game's evolving, and honestly just see who, get some notes to take back so I can help myself play better on streams in different places, so it'll be good.
If you find something out, let me know too.
Yeah, I will do. But I'm really excited to see, what the meta looks like for set 3. Again, like you said, it's close to 150 new planetary qualifiers for this set. So I think there's gonna be a lot of great data coming out of it for us to be able to look at. And we're just really excited to finally be able to, meet the expectation of what people wanted from these events. Obviously, set 2 was a little smaller because we're surprised by the success of the game. There's only so many things we could do to pivot and get more of those events out there, but this is us being able to finally adjust to some of those things. So I'm really excited for us to be able to talk more about what that looks like after. But I believe this week we actually have our stream where we're prepping for planetary qualifiers, helping new players get into it, and also talking about what we're seeing out there now and how to get ready for some of those decks that you might run up against. So it's going to be really fun. Yeah,
I think that'll be awesome, and I think you guys getting into that field a little bit more of like, hey, this is what's here and this is how to counter it. I think it'll be really great for the game to showcase to some players, just what is going on out there. And then my question is, who do I have to email to get you to either go to Maryland, New York City, or Philadelphia? Just shoot me an email and I will send it.
Go to the unlimited email. I'll forward it to the people that need to. And
it is very important for the success of this PQ if Xander is in attendance.
I would love to be there. That'd be such a fun trip.
That would be a good time. And then. We have 2 more questions that I want to wrap up. One a little bit more related to PAX, and then a little bit of a Worlds question. But one of the things that I know a lot of people were excited about for PAX Unplugged and what they might have been hoping for is something similar to how Gen Con was. And I know within the OP system of points, you don't want to ever lock an event behind a badge. I think that's a great decision. But I think there could be room for PAX Unplugged. Hey, here's this just like random event. In future years, you're not going to get any points towards your system, but it's something you can show up playmat or PAX or whatever. And so kind of what is the decision kind of going into that to do something like that for Gen Con? Is it possible to do that in the future for PAX Unplugged? Like, is there room for that? And just kind of curious of thoughts on it.
Absolutely. Things like that it's never out of the realm of possibility. We have heard great things, like people were really excited about the one at Gen Con, especially because it was before some of the competitive series kind of really kicked off, so people were really
that was like
excited
a big thing
about that.
To start with,
Yeah, and so I definitely think it's something that we're well aware of, that there's a demand for something like that at those events. Obviously, we don't want to take up the idea behind not doing any of our competitive series events is we don't want to take up your whole con and also lock things behind another paywall on top of paying to be in the event. But it seems like there's definitely some demand for events, whether it's one day or maybe like 2-day events at some of these conventions, and so it's definitely something we're keeping in mind, and I'm excited to see what we'll do for some of the conventions here in year 2. So definitely a possibility.
Awesome. Yeah, because I mean, for us too, I think there were 3 large events, and I think we did 2.
Yeah.
And then like the other day, we were walking around Gen Con. But we're also, again, we're the people who you're like, hey, we have 3 large events on 3 days. We'll be like, all right, I signed up for all 3. And, we are the audience that will go to a con and be fully invested in it. But I think that's very important that people can go to an event and not feel like, oh, I played in the day 1 and I made Top Cut for day 2, but I really want to explore Gen Con. Like, I love that there's no pressure of that. I think those isolated events are something that can be really good to have at these.
I agree. I think it's a really fun thing. It offers people that are going to those conventions anyway because they want to see other games as well, a chance to engage with this community and get involved, and maybe that's what pushes somebody to then start going to sectors, regionals, galactics down the line. And so I think it's a great onboarding point. I'm excited to see what our conventions look like moving into year 2.
Yeah, and then even talking of into year 2 is Worlds. How excited are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so glad that we got to announce the location and dates for Galactics. It's something we, as a studio and as a company, are really putting our whole weight behind, and really excited to have this event in Las Vegas, which is a change of pace from where FFG in the past has held a lot of our like Worlds or top tier competitive events, is most of the time in Minnesota in the past.
Instead of 20 degrees, it'll be 100 degrees. It's kind of the big difference. Either way, I'm not going outside.
Stay inside. But we're really excited. I think Las Vegas is a great location. It's very accessible for many people, great airport and things like that. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to get all of the people who have been involved in this first year and a half, basically, of Star Wars Unlimited to come together and have something outside of just the main event. There's going to be so many side events and like panels and different things like that that are going to get people involved. So if you're somebody who's not on the competitive side, but is more on the casual and like collector side, I think there's still a ton to do at this event. And we will, our team will all be there, like really engaging with everybody, and there'll be a ton of really fun things that I am dying to talk about, and it is painful not to talk about now. And so I'm really excited to start talking about prizing as well as all the other things going on at the event.
And that, for me, like if I go back and think of like what were some of my favorite Destiny experiences, it would be 2018 and 2019 Worlds, and just being able to go to a large event, to see everybody you talk to on the internet all the time, and like see them, hang out with them, play games with them, to see all the different prize walls and things that were cooked up for those events. And like, I didn't win Worlds, probably won't win Worlds, but I'm still going to have a blast at these events and go and see anybody. I think that's really important, and I feel like you guys are very much, the way that you're all talking makes it feel like that is going to be the case, and I'm very, very excited for that.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're there to, win the Galactic Championship and make it to like the final day, top 8, whatever your goal is, that is absolutely a main focus for us. We're really excited, but we want to make sure that this is a convention that, celebrates all of Star Wars Unlimited for all the different types of players that we have out there. And so I'm really excited to engage with it in a couple different ways. We've got people thinking about all the different ways you can, participate in what Star Wars Unlimited is without having to sit down and play the game too. So it's definitely something that we have in mind.
And then last question is ballpark. How many people do you think will be at Vegas in 2025?
Oh man, I don't even know if I could have a good guess on the number of players. I really hope that it surpasses like what we had the space for and the ability to have in this room and I guess in this convention hall. But I don't know if I can even hazard a guess on what we'll have for the exact number.
How much does it hold, dude? Is that something that we...
I don't actually know the exact number. I wish I could say. A lot of people. It is going to be a grand event for sure.
Yeah. And that's what, same thing, like all the worders that you guys have used so far, like I know some people are worried about how do you get a ticket, things like that, but since it's being the first one and the only one that will be open, I think there'll be a good chance everybody's going to be able to go, and there's going to be plenty of things to do while there, plenty of people there, so I'm not stressing about it. We do have to book our hotel and flights, though. Flock was in charge of that, so who knows how that's going to go.
Good luck, Flock.
But awesome. Xander, I appreciate you sitting down talking about Packs Unplugged, Set 4, Set 3, and everything that kind of goes on in FFG behind the scenes. So I'll let you get back to it and talk to the many other people here that aren't me. You might enjoy it a little more.
No, this is a perfect way to start the event, and super excited to meet everybody here this weekend.
Doors open at 10. Xander sits down with an interview for me at 10:15 on Friday, the first day. So
get it knocked out right away.
please keep Xander in your thoughts this week. But awesome, appreciate it, and appreciate everybody watching, tuning, and we will check you all in next time.
Sounds good.